were emerging upon. And endpoints not being adequately focused upon. So there's a huge challenge around saying why traditional approach is not working out well. And then some of the myths, saying we want to attain 100% security. There's nothing called 100% security in the world. We want to implement in the best of class technical tools, and that gives us the assurance we are safe, and so on and so forth. So, the realities are very different. Once we acknowledge those realities, and once we start working on those realities, suddenly the organizations tend to become more resilient. And that's a key point which we're making upon. I want to pass some messages, that's the reason I may be rushing. This slide was talked upon in the previous one, so I'll not spend. But what I'm trying to bring, technology is important, but don't undermine people and processes along with it. If you don't have strong people who manage the technology, and if you don't have right governance processes, the technology will not help in addressing cybersecurity risks, and resilience won't come out. That's where the model really comes, and I think this is a huge shift, which every organization at some point of time has to make upon. Saying there is a 3-level of defense or 3 lines of defense approach which needs to be followed upon. Information security officer sits in the second line, and that's where the big challenge comes upon, because many times information security officer gets focused on operational responsibility, which should not be the responsibility of an information security officer. There has to be a completely different layer which is taking care of operations, and the CISO or information security officer should be the one who is defining standards, who's making sure that the threats which are coming in the environment are known upon and building upon resilience adequately based on that. And then someone should be looking upon a third layer, which is independent audit and assurance. And that's how organizations will become resilient. I think the shift is happening. I'm happy to know that Rashtriya Bank over here, which is the regulator, has mandated IS audits for the banks, which is in a way moving towards the assurance layer. But how do we put all these 3 layers in play will be extremely, extremely important. People, process, technology, absolutely fundamental to deal with this kind of a risk. Make sure that right governance models are there. Make sure there is right planning and understanding, and then only program for cybersecurity can be comprehensive, and then it can become more resilient in the organization. What do we want to protect? I think that was again one of the speakers covered upon previously, saying that should we be covering everything? And the answer is you should have a baseline for everything, but you need to really protect what you call crown jewels. Crown jewels is something really you need to protect upon at any cost, and you need to identify because crown jewels are based on the industry which you come in from, and that's the area where where cybersecurity is moving. The borders and the boundaries are eliminating because all of us use social media extensively. Are we looking only inwards or are we looking outwards also? And that's one area where organizations have to start looking when it comes on to digital risk. How are you getting positioned on the social media? Is someone going out and doing a brand abuse on your behalf for your brand actually? And are you even aware or not aware about it? Are you looking upon your reputation which is going on? Phishing, I think everyone talked upon. So how do you make these shifts where digital threats to which we are getting exposed upon today, we are aware of that? I'm not even talking about saying that we do about it, because we can action on it only once we are aware about it. And that's where the key message is coming. Security operation centers, I think was talked upon quite extensively. This has become a reality and this has become a necessity today. 24/7 by 365. In fact, what we have put across over here, the world has moved to SOC 2.0, advanced SOC analytics, and cyber analytics, and so on and so forth. I think this is a given if we have to be having a cyber resilient organization. To remain 2 steps ahead, I think the last slide from my side, what do we need to do? We need to make sure that there is an effective orchestration of security rather than just looking at it in a unidimensional manner. That's extremely important. We need to be constantly aware of the threats, the threat landscape which is changing around us, which is coming really from a threat hunting element, which we need to be aware of. We need to make sure that there is a unified way of monitoring. And there was one of the speakers who talked on UEBA. which is the behavior analytics, or how do you bring in artificial intelligence into play. That's becoming extremely critical and important. How do you make sure the response is right? I think the previous session talked upon a lot on incident response. And all those case studies where I was talking about the big incidents, the damages which happened was because of lack of incident response. So how do you make sure that you have a right response approach? And how do you bring the industry together to make sure there is an effective collaboration? If you do all of these things together, that's how you naturally move towards a resilient organization. I think it just ends up with the 4 golden rules, saying that get the basics right, make sure ground jewels are protected, make sure you understand what the threat landscape is, and treat this not just as an opportunity, not just look upon saying that someone is putting you behind, but treat cyber saying that how can you be coming out and acting as a competitive differentiator. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this presentation. And so maybe we will discuss regarding the question and answer after full presentation of this session, okay? So next presentation I request to Mr. Sachin Jankarki, Fellow of the Security Operation Center. He is the Manager of IT Services, Lava Private Limited, Nepal. So you know the presentation time, yeah? So you can manage the presentation time. Thank you.
Thank you, NPCert, for giving me this opportunity. And I see all the wonderful people. Let's enjoy and go for the topic. Can I have presentation? Hi. Without further ado, let's start. Okay, there is some technical glitch. So we always get some technical glitch. Today we are talking about the value of operating security operations center. I already started the timer and I already spent 1 minute. So let's go. What is security operations center? How many of you know about the security operations center and its jobs? Okay. Security Operations Center is something that is collaborative center with the people, technology, intelligence, and information exchange and communicated over. So, wait, stop it. Okay, we are back again. We can see that in Abraze, in Nepal also we get 40 to 60 malware and malicious traffic hits on the government system and infrastructure, critical infrastructure as well. We have seen that different attacks are successful in Nepal also. Why is that? Is because in our country that we have very limited security resources and we implement very limited security implications. We talk about the firewall systems, next generation systems, and today also I believe that you all know that many technologies has been developed and emerging also. But in this case, I'd like to ask you what you need. Just focus what you need. In our context, we are on the list of most vulnerable country, which is also published in intelligence report. So, what do you want to go and what do you want to achieve? Security Operations Center builds upon 3 major pillars: people, So you must have people who are skilled, who are intelligent, who are knowledgeable about the leading trend, technology and mindset of security and cyber criminals. So you must know what are the leading trends, what is coming, what is happening on the world scale, and what will be the risk for your organizations, for your one organization and system and informations for you. The second pillar is the technology. We have seen very wonderful people over here who talked about the technology. So if you don't know what that technology is for, what it does, and what are you seeking to achieve by implementing that technology, until unless you don't know that, then it is worthless to have. If you know how to use these things, what you want to achieve, and who will going to get that, and what will be the outcome, then it is best for you. So, judge based upon your need, not by the feature, not by the hardware, not by the advertisement. Third thing is process. KPMG is already described. Never move out of process. Process is the main thing. How you see things, how you do things, how you use those information that you have collected, how you collect those informations, for what purpose, when, how, it does matters.